Hey guys, this is Spartacus here, and welcome to another video. I'm here to give you guys the final review for Infinite Warfare, because right around the corner, we got Call of Duty World War II. It's coming out this Friday, this week, which is absolutely insane. You guys, I cannot wait to play that game, and so therefore, I have to make a review for Infinite Warfare, because, I actually thought that Infinite Warfare was a pretty decent game. A lot of people didn't think it actually was, and so now in this video, I'm kind of gonna give my opinions out there of, like, my final thoughts for Infinite Warfare, because now that we have all the DLCs added, we have all those like zombie maps played and all like on all platforms and stuff like that. The game is basically in a way finished, I guess you could say. So yeah, let's go ahead and start this review. So the first thing I want to cover is actually the campaign, because the campaign is part of the game in general, so I kind of gotta go over it. So the campaign, its storyline. The storyline for the campaign I thought was pretty decent. Now, I don't think it was a great campaign. I hear everybody saying like, oh, the campaign's really good, you guys should like go ahead and play it. I don't know if it was that good. I mean, compared to other Call of Duty games, I felt like those other campaigns were way better than the campaign we've seen for Infinite Warfare. But then again, you gotta think to yourselves, just like in the previous Call of Duty games, we may have had like some really good campaigns, but then when the developers make a new like Call of Duty with a new title that isn't like a continuation of like their previous one, then it's kind of hard to make like a completely new storyline. It's not easy to do. But the storyline, I will say, for Infinite Warfare is better than the storyline for Black Ops 3. Now, a lot of you may actually disagree with me on this, but I enjoyed the storyline way more in Infinite Warfare than I did with Black Ops 3, because in Black Ops 3, the storyline makes zero sense to me. Now, I understand some things, like when you go do a certain task or something like that, I understand why I'm doing that task, but just the whole storyline in general just doesn't really make any sense when it becomes like Celebrium or whatever fancy words they use, where like you would do something in your head and then it will like affect it in real life or something like that. I don't know. The Black Ops 3 storyline was just super confusing, you guys. I really didn't understand it, and therefore I didn't really enjoy the campaign so much. But with Infinite Warfare's campaign, I enjoyed it a lot more. The campaign was really easy to follow. It wasn't a terrible storyline, but it was a pretty good one in my personal opinion, especially for one that's a Call of Duty game that kind of takes place in space a little bit. So I found that pretty interesting. And then, of course, there was a little bit of progression in the game. You could progress through, like, your soldier. Like, if you picked up weapons off the ground that you've never used before, you would be able to unlock them. So before you would actually enter a mission, you could create your own class and pretty much choose whatever primary weapon you want, whatever secondary perks and equipment and stuff like that. It's pretty cool, kind of like creating your class in multiplayer. And then, of course, we have aircraft. There's, like, 3 different types of aircraft you could fly on certain missions where you have to, like, fly around in space and shoot other enemies. And of course, with those aircrafts, you can like choose like different blasters and different like shields or regeneration health or something like that, where like, and you can either choose to regenerate your health quicker, or you could switch it out to make it where enemy lock-on missiles take longer to lock onto you or something like that. There's just stuff like that that's pretty cool about the aircraft that you can kind of customize a little bit. And I think you can also change kind of like the skin on the aircraft, if I remember correctly. Like you'll like add like a face on the side of it, like maybe a shark head or something like that. I don't know. I thought that was really cool. And then of course the difficulty. Now this is the parts of the campaign that I didn't really enjoy too much, and that's because when I first played the campaign, I started playing it on veteran difficulty, and the reason for that being is actually because you get a lot of achievements for actually completing the campaign on veteran difficulty, so that's why I started doing it on that difficulty. But the thing was, it felt really easy playing it on veteran difficulty, and I didn't understand why, because in previous Call of Duty games, from what I've played on veteran difficulty, they were not easy at all. Like, especially the World at War campaign, that's probably the hardest campaign to actually beat on veteran difficulty, keep in mind. That is a very hard campaign to beat, but my point is that veteran difficulty on Infinite Warfare just felt really easy for me. Maybe I'm just really good at the campaign or something like that. I don't know. But the difficulty felt really easy, guys, and I didn't really understand why it was that. But I will admit, though, there are harder difficulties actually in the campaign, because normally veteran is the hardest, but there was 2 more that the only way to unlock them was actually by completing the hardest difficulty. So if you complete the campaign on veteran difficulty, the next difficulty you would unlock would be the specialist difficulty. And then after you would complete the campaign on specialist difficulty, you're able to unlock this last difficulty. Now, those last 2 difficulties, I've never played the campaign in those, so I don't really know how hard the campaign is actually with them. But for some reason, the difficulty on veteran difficulty, God, I'm saying difficulty way too much, but on veteran mode, it's very easy in my personal opinion. I mean, that's just someone like who's been playing Call of Duty for a while. So, but yeah, I felt like veteran difficulty was really easy in the campaign. So I was a little bit disappointed by that. I was hoping to have a little bit of challenge to myself, but you know, the campaign in whole, I give it a thumbs up. I thought it was pretty good, you guys. So if let me know in the comments below if you guys actually enjoyed the campaign yourself. So now that I've already covered the campaign, or pretty much covered the campaign for Infinite Warfare, I'm going to go ahead and start with the multiplayer. And so with the multiplayer, there are so many different things to talk about, so I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible. And so the first thing I want to say is I want to talk about the movement. So of course the movement is of course like the same thing that we've seen in Black Ops 3, right? But for me, I thought the movement felt a little bit better in Infinite Warfare than it did in Black Ops 3. Like, I guess some people would say that in Infinite Warfare it might have felt a little bit clunkier, but for me, it actually felt pretty smooth in all honesty. So I really enjoyed the movement system in Infinite Warfare. And of course, we also have combat rigs, which of course are the same things as specialists that we saw in Black Ops 3. So yeah, combat rigs, there wasn't as many combat rigs as there were specialists in Black Ops 3, which really isn't that big of a deal in my personal opinion. But the one thing I will say about the combat rigs in Infinite Warfare is that I personally didn't like them too much when it came to their special abilities, and of course their like special weapons you would use once you charge up the meter that's in the top or the bottom right corner of your screen. So like for example, if you use the very first combat rig, for some reason I can't remember his name, Warfighter, right? He's a pretty popular character. One of his special abilities is actually to use the claw, right? That's actually his special weapon, I should say. You know, that's the weapon he's able to use. With the claw, it's very, very easy to use, right? You can literally just spray this thing in any room. The bullets just go flying everywhere. They ricochet off everything, and it's just really, really easy to kill enemies with it. But of course, you're only allowed to use the weapon for a limited amount of time. But it's also the same thing with the Snaptic combat rig. You know, I honestly hate this combat rig so much. Like literally, this combat rig is probably one of the reasons why no one plays Infinite Warfare. Like seriously, this thing pisses me off so much, especially when people have like modded controllers and they have like paddle sticks underneath their controller as well. Oh my gosh, it just really pisses me off, because the thing with these combat rigs, you don't only have like a special weapon or ability that you're able to use, you also have these traits to where it's not something you don't really charge up and use. They're just kind of like these perks, I guess you can say. It's kind of like a perk on your character itself. So like on the Snaptic combat rig, one of the traits you were able to use was propulsion, which means that your jetpacks are able to recharge a lot faster. And I hated this so much because so many people would run around with the Snaptic combat rig and just be flying in the air. Like they will literally never touch the ground. They're just like super high up in the air, and you're never able to like ever aim at them and kill them. They're just so freaking annoying, and I hated that so much. And another thing about the Snaptic combat rig is that its special ability, and one of the special abilities you're able to use is you're able to like go into third person into like this dog mode, where you can just run around as like a dog and just like one hit kill melee enemies, right? Which is just like so easy to do, you know. And oh gosh, it's so stupid. Like that's the one thing I don't like about combat rigs in Infinite Warfare, is that when you use a special weapon or ability, they're just so easy to use. It just pretty much guarantees you a kill most of the time. It's just really, really easy to use. Where in Black Ops 3 Specialist, when you use a weapon or ability for Black Ops 3, it required a little bit more skill. Like for example, the Annihilator pistol, right? That's a special weapon you're able to use in Black Ops 3. If you're to use that weapon in the multiplayer, it requires a little bit more skill than like it kind of requires a lot of skill in a way, because it's a one-shot, one-kill pistol. But of course, every time you shoot the pistol, you kind of have to cock the gun a little bit, so that way you can shoot again. So you have to be really accurate when you use the Annihilator compared to when you actually use, like, let's say the Snaptic combat rig when you're running around as a dog, you know. So I mean, of course, you could say the same thing with the Eraser on the FTL combat rig, because the Eraser is pretty much similar to the Annihilator, where it's a one-shot, one-kill weapon. But with the Eraser, you can pretty much just spam it, you know? Like the Annihilator, you couldn't spam the trigger and try and kill an enemy with them, but with the FTL Eraser, you can just spam the weapon. So I mean, just, yeah, the specialists and, the combat rigs in Infinite Warfare, like the special abilities, were way easier to use, and it's just something I didn't really like in the actual multiplayer. But moving on from that stuff, I talked about it way too much, is mission teams, which mission teams I thought was a great idea. So there's 5 different mission teams in the game. To actually unlock the 5th mission team, you actually have to prestige at least one time. And so the mission teams are really cool. It kind of gave you these kind of challenges you would get every single multiplayer that you go into, like get 5 kills, and then you would progress on get 10 kills, then get 15 kills, and then get 20 kills, and you kind of earn that gold medal, and it earns XP. And once, like, the more you complete the challenge, the mission team challenge in the actual multiplayer match, the more XP you'll actually earn for that mission team. Now, what's so special about leveling up your mission team? Well, what's cool about that is that when you level up your mission team, you're able to grant yourself some salvage, so that also helps with like trying to purchase weapons in the quartermaster, which I'll get into later. And then, of course, you can unlock weapons like every 10 levels. Like every time you leveled up 10 times for a mission team, you unlock a new weapon, a weapon prototype, I should say, which is actually really, really cool, you know, because compared to Black Ops 3 supply drops, the only way to actually earn yourself a weapon was by getting lucky through supply drops. But in Infinite Warfare, the system where they had like different like weapon variants or prototypes, I should say, was very, very good, especially like in the quartermaster and in the mission teams. In the mission depot, they had so many different weapons you could earn just by leveling up your mission team. So if you were to complete challenges and most of your complete most of the mission team challenges in a multiplayer match, then the easier it is for you to actually unlock your weapon that you could get. So yeah, or weapon prototypes. So I thought that was really cool. You know, I thought mission teams were a great idea. Of course, the more mission teams you went up, like if you went past the first one, like the challenges do get harder, like the Blood Iron. Oh gosh, is it called Blood Iron? Oh my gosh, Blood Anvil. Yeah, Blood Anvil is of course the 5th mission team in the game, and those challenges are ridiculously hard. I cannot complete all those challenges in one game, but yeah, the Blood Anvil ones are very, very hard compared to where like the first one, the like Orion Initiative, I think that's the second one where those challenges are a lot easier and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought mission teams were great. You're able to earn yourself some salvage, some calling cards, and like what are they called, accessories you can put on your weapons, and of course you can unlock weapons, weapon prototypes, and I don't know, I just thought that was really, really cool. So moving on here, we're going to be talking about weapon prototypes. So the interesting thing, this is like the second Call of Duty game where we've technically had weapon variants in the game. You know, the very first game was Advanced Warfare, and in that game the stats were different on the weapon variants in that game. So if you got, like, let's say there's the HBR A3, right? HBR A3, that's the standard version, and then you would get the HBR A3 Insanity. So the Insanity would actually decrease the damage, but increase the fire rate. Like, it would just change the stats on the weapon. That's how weapon variants worked back in Advanced Warfare. But with Infinite Warfare, the weapon stats pretty much stayed the same in a way. Only it kind of acquired weapon perks was on the prototype. So weapon prototypes in Infinite Warfare had perks technically on the weapons themselves. So like if you want a 3 kill streak, then you will get like a random perk or something like that, which is kind of cool. And of course there's some of those legendary prototypes where if you go on a 25 kill streak with that gun, you get yourself a deatomizer strike, which is pretty much the equivalent to a nuke in the game, right? And so that's probably the one thing I didn't like about Infinite Warfare, is that the only way to actually get the deatomizer strike was through a certain weapon prototype, which I wasn't a huge fan of that, but if that's the way it is, then I guess that's the way it is. Of course, there's like different, I guess you can call versions of these prototypes. So like rarities, I should say. There's different rarities of these prototypes. So we had like common, we had rare, then legendary, then epic were the best ones you could get in the game. There's a lot of cool epic ones in the game, not gonna lie, like the Reaver shotgun. If you got the epic version of it, I do believe it was called the machete or something like that. With that one, it has like a machete attached onto the gun itself, and it made you actually melee enemies a lot quicker, and it would instantly kill them, which I think is just so fun to use. Like some of the epic variants in Infinite Warfare were like completely genius in my opinion. They were super fun to use and not just in my opinion. You know, I really love weapon prototypes in Infinite Warfare. I thought they were a great addition. A lot of people may not like them, but I thought they were a great addition to Infinite Warfare, especially how some of these epic weapons worked. I don't know, they were just so fun to use in my opinion, and they're actually really, really easy to use. Actually really easy to, not really easy to use, that's terrible to say, but really easy to actually get in the game. But of course I'll talk about that a little bit later. And of course there's also weapon prototype score streaks. I'm getting my words mixed up here, but yeah, there are prototype score streaks in the game, which actually didn't get implemented into the game a little bit later, which kind of sucks. But I thought this was pretty cool. The only way to actually get a let's say prototype score streak. Like if you want a different version of the normal UAV, where the epic version of the UAV actually grants you more assist points once it's activated, which is pretty nice. And of course, the only way to unlock this was through salvage, which, like I said, one way to actually get salvage is through mission teams. You can also get it through daily rewards, but just by logging in, and then of course opening up rare supply drops and stuff like that, which I'll get into later. But yeah, prototype score streaks are pretty cool. Some of them may actually, like some of the prototypes of certain score streaks may actually cost the score streak more to earn and stuff like that, just because that prototype of the score streak might make it a little bit better than what it's supposed to do. Like for example, the Apex, right? The Apex is the very last score, or it's like the hardest score streak to actually earn in the game. And with that, this is literally the funnest attachment to use, or the funnest prototype to use for the Apex, and that's the epic version, where instead of actually shooting bullets, you're shooting laser beams at people, and it's just, oh my gosh, it feels so satisfying killing people like that. I don't know, like that epic version of the prototype for the Apex is just super fun to use. Oh my gosh, I don't know, it's just super fun to use. I just don't understand why. It's because it's just lasers, you know, like you're changing from bullets to lasers. I don't know, it's just super fun. I really like the idea of prototypes for score streaks. Then moving on here to the maps, like how the map layouts work. They have a good flow to them. Like were they balanced, or, you know, like, or did they like suck, you know, like how were the maps? So the maps, in my opinion, I thought were pretty decent. There were some maps I personally just didn't like in general, like I do believe it was called Frontier. That map was a little hard to get used to. I didn't like playing it in the beta at all, but once you gave me a shotgun and I ran around the map on Frontier with a shotgun, I started to just go ham for some reason. So yeah, it's definitely a close quarters map, and it's definitely a map I always use to use shotguns on. But yeah, Frontier was okay map. There's just some maps I didn't really like in general, but most of the maps, I will say, were pretty good. Some of the maps that I didn't like were actually DLC maps that were added into the game, and I was a little disappointed by them. But most of the maps in the game I thought were pretty darn good in my personal opinion. You know, I thought they had a good flow to them. You know, and of course they brought back some old maps, which there's actually one map I really didn't like, and it was the remastered version of Rust. They pretty much brought Rust back into Infinite Warfare, but of course it was suitable to where like how the advanced movement works, you know, and so yeah, I didn't really like the remaster of Rust. A lot of people were happy they were bringing it back, but for me personally, it didn't really play that great. I mean, I don't know, I mean, it's Rust, you know, it's supposed to be kind of a small map in a way, even though they did kind of expand it in a way. But anyway, yeah, I don't know, I thought the maps were pretty decent. There were like some DLC maps I wasn't really a big fan of. But moving on here, let's talk about DLC weapons, you know, because this has kind of been a big issue for Call of Duty. So, in Black Ops 3, we didn't have weapon variants or weapon prototypes in the game, but we did have weapons and supply drops, which, of course, was a huge issue because you had to be super lucky in order to actually get a weapon you wanted out of a supply drop switch. Was a big no-no in my opinion. The Black Ops 3 supply drop system was just absolutely terrible in my personal opinion. But in Infinite Warfare, the way that DLC weapons work were way better. So if you were a Seasons Pass owner in Infinite Warfare, you were able to earn DLC weapons just instantly. Like, you didn't have to like open up a supply drop, get lucky out of it, and open up and like just get the weapon out of it. You didn't have to get lucky. You instantly got a new weapon once it was added into the game, which I thought was awesome. You know, as a Seasons Pass member, you're getting more content than just the map packs. You're also getting weapons for free, which is absolutely awesome. Of course, you still have to open up supply drops and of course like spend salvage in order to actually no, you're not able to spend salvage now that I think about it, which kind of sucks. But yeah, you still have to get weapon prototypes out of supply drops with those weapons, which kind of sucks in a way. But as a Seasons Pass member, you're able to get the base variant just automatically for free, which is awesome. You know, it comes with the Seasons Pass deal, which I think is awesome as well. But anyway, if you're not a Seasons Pass owner, then what's the deal with that? If you're not a Seasons Pass owner, then what's the deal? So if you're not a Seasons Pass owner and you really want some of these weapons, you could open up a supply drop. You can get a variant out of there, and then there you go, you got it. So you could open up a supply drop and get lucky and get the weapon, but you could also complete challenges. Like if you go hover over the weapon in the main menu, it says like get 150 pistol kills or something like that. You know, like if there was like a DLC pistol weapon that you wanted to get, like I think it was the UDM UDM, you know, because the UDM is like an automatic pistol. If you want to unlock that weapon, but you weren't a Seasons Pass member, you actually could just get like 200 pistol kills. I can't remember the exact challenge, but if you got like 200 pistol kills, then you're able to unlock the UDM, which I thought was awesome, you know, because you didn't have to like get lucky out of a supply drop to get the weapon. You can complete challenges and get the base variant yourself, which I just think that was awesome. It was such a smart decision. I can't believe Black Ops 3 or Treyarch didn't do this, because thank you Infinity Ward for doing the smart decision by doing this. This is such a great idea. And of course, they did that with the rest of the DLC weapons throughout the multiplayer experience throughout the year. It was just absolutely awesome. I love it because they added a lot of different DLC weapons. So I was, as a Season Pass member, I was able to just get all the base variants, right? So I was able to actually get all these weapons already, which is absolutely awesome. And so, but if you weren't a Season Pass member, all you gotta do is just complete some challenges, and there you go. You were able to get them, which I just think was awesome. It's a very, very smart decision in my opinion. And now let's go talk about combat records and leaderboards. Now, this is something that some people don't care about, and this is something that people actually care a lot about. So a lot of people, when it comes to leaderboards, they try to be on the top leaderboards, you know, they always try to get that top 100 position, you know. And if you guys know leaderboards, pretty much to get on like the top of the leaderboards is just only by playing the game a lot. You know, if you play the game a lot, then you're going to be like a certain game mode a lot. If you play Team Deathmatch a lot, you know, like let's say that's the only game mode you play, but you're like Master Prestige in the game, then the chances are you're going to be high up there on the leaderboards, because it only goes by like how much you've played that game mode, not necessarily how good you are at it. So, and maybe in Infinite Warfare it's different. I know in Modern Warfare Remastered, leaderboards work in a way where if you just play the game mode long enough, you'll just start going up with the leaderboards. But in Infinite Warfare, it might be a little bit different. I could be wrong about that. So, but also combat records, you know, this, for me personally, I am a huge fan of combat records. I like knowing what my best weapon is, like what's the one weapon I use the most, what's the one score streak I use a lot, how many kills I got with a certain FTL rig, or excuse me, not FTL rig, but combat rig, compared to this other combat rig, you know. Like, combat rig just has all these statistics that I love just looking at. It's just super cool in my opinion. It also shows your KD and win-lose ratio, how many, like, do you win more matches than you lose them, do you have, like, a pretty decent KD ratio, do you have more kills and deaths, stuff like that, you know, how many total kills you get, what rank you're at, like, all this stuff, you know. And I think, I really love combat records. I love leaderboards, especially when it comes to gun game. I always try to get the high leaderboards on that. But yeah, the one thing I will say, like, even though the combat record and leaderboards are pretty cool in Infinite Warfare, you know, that's something that I think every Call of Duty game should have, but the problem with them was that they weren't implemented into the game like 3 months after the game came out. It just said coming soon in the barracks, you know. It just said coming soon. We didn't have them, so we had no idea what our combat record looked like or where we were ranked on the leaderboards. And I didn't understand that. Why were the leaderboards and combat record not implemented into the launch of the game? You know, we had to wait like 3 months after the launch of the game in order to see them, which in my opinion was really, really dumb. I don't know why they did that. I think that was a really bad decision, because I feel like it should have came with like the launch of the game, but it didn't. So a little bit disappointed there. So moving on. Supply drops. This is a huge deal in Call of Duty right now. So supply drops, like I said before, if you wanted to get like a DLC weapon, you didn't have to necessarily get lucky out of a supply drop. If you were like a Seasons Pass member, you were able to get the base variant for free, which is awesome. But if you weren't a Seasons Pass member, then there were like certain challenges you got to do to actually unlock the base variant, which I think was a very, very smart decision. But I will say, when it comes to DLC weapons, you had to get lucky to actually get a prototype out of the supply drop if you wanted like an epic version of, like, let's say the Trencher submachine gun or something like that. So because with the epic version of that gun, it actually adds a grenade launcher onto it, which is kind of cool. But yeah, supply drops are awesome in this game, because the thing about them is that if you open up rare supply drops, you guarantee yourself salvage for getting duplicates and just bonus salvage in general, if you just open up rares. And the thing is, I have gotten so much salvage in the game. Right now, I have over 20,000 salvage, and I have purchased almost every single weapon prototype in Infinite Warfare. I'm not even kidding you guys. I almost have every single weapon prototype in Infinite Warfare. It is absolutely insane. And of course, you have to earn keys to actually open up supply drops from completing multiplayer matches. And Honestly, there's been so many like double key events where I like totally grind out Infinite Warfare, and I would get myself so many different keys. And another thing I would like to say about the Quartermaster, they would always have these different kind of bundles. So if you saved up like 200 keys, for example, right, you'll get like a good, you can like buy a bundle with those keys and get like a good deal on like a new no dupe, like 5 no dupe supply drops. So once you open those supply drops, you won't get any duplicates out of it, which I just think was awesome. You know, they had all these bundle deals that were really worth it, because, you know, compared to Modern Warfare Remastered, they did have bundles, like a supply drop bundles in that game, but the only way to actually open them up was by purchasing COD points, which is just so stupid. Now, of course, you can open up supply drops in Infinite Warfare using COD points, but the thing about the bundles in Infinite Warfare, you didn't have to use COD points. You could use keys that you saved up by grinding out the game, which I think was very, very smart in my opinion, because I am never going to pay COD points. I have never paid a cent in my life on COD points before in Call of Duty. Now, if you look at my profile, it says I have like 1,200 COD points, but that's only because I digitally pre-ordered Call of Duty World War II, and I got some like extra like COD points out of that, I guess. So yeah, you know, I really think supply drop system was absolutely amazing in Infinite Warfare. You could actually guarantee yourself some weapon prototypes. All I gotta do was go to the Quartermaster and just save up enough salvage and buy that version you want or something like that. You know, I just think that was absolutely awesome. The supply drop system worked very, very well in Infinite Warfare, and I have to give Infinity Ward a round of applause on that, because Treyarch, as much as people love Treyarch, their supply drop system sucked. I mean, I think everyone should agree that Treyarch's supply drop system just sucked compared to Infinite Warfare. So I have to give Infinity Ward props on their supply drop system. I think it worked out very, very well. I will say you couldn't unlock every single variant through salvage. There were quite a bit of it. There were not quite a bit, but there were some variants in the game or prototypes that the only way to unlock them was by getting lucky through supply drops. But that's why we had the no dupe bundles, right? They always gave out these different kind of bundles where there's like no duplicates and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know, that's just me, guys. So I really like supply drops in the game. And of course there was contracts. So if you complete contracts, there's certain contracts where it can guarantee yourself an epic assault rifle or an epic camo in the game, or it can guarantee yourself like 30 keys by completing that weekly challenge, or get yourself like a 750 salvage, you know. And they did the same thing with zombies in the game. They also add contracts into that as well. You also got daily rewards where you might have got like one, if you log in daily, maybe one day you'll get one free common supply drop, and then maybe you'll get like 5 keys or 10 keys, or maybe you'll get like 100 salvage or something like that, you know. Like, it was like they made the game where it was really easy to earn keys and salvage, and therefore it was a lot easier to actually earn like score streak prototypes and weapon prototypes in the game. And I just think that was just absolutely genius in my opinion. I just can't get over that. But anyway, I'm about to get to 30 minutes here, so let's move on from multiplayer. Multiplayer experience I thought was good, you guys. I actually enjoyed playing multiplayer. It was very, very fun. There are so many unique features in the game that we've never seen before, and I don't think a lot of people gave Infinite Warfare a lot of credit for that, so I have to give Infinity Ward some props on the multiplayer. I thought it was pretty decent. I will admit the health system in the game, by like dying a lot, was kind of sucked in a way, and also maybe some of the lethals in the game were a little bit too overpowered, and like how there was a bubble shield for a tactical grenade, which is really, really weird. But yeah, multiplayer, I had fun playing it, so I thought it was really, really good. But let's move on to zombies here, because I'm gonna go over 30 minutes. So yeah, zombies was very fun, you guys, and I think I just needed to hear somebody else say it for me to actually admit it. But I think zombies is better in Infinite Warfare than Black Ops 3. Now, a lot of you are going to hate me for saying that, but I think this is so true. Zombies is better than Black Ops 3. Like, Infinite Warfare Zombies is so much better than Black Ops 3, and I'll tell you why. Black Ops 3 Zombies, the maps that were made for Black Ops 3 were pretty much meant for just zombies fans in general, you know, people who like follow the storyline, people who like try to complete Easter eggs and stuff like that. That's basically what the zombie maps were in Black Ops 3. It was basically a gift to the hardcore zombie fans. But with Infinite Warfare, it wasn't so much that. Yes, we did have Easter egg quests that we had, and then we had boss battles and stuff like that. We even have a boss battles game mode that's permanently in the game right now. Now, it took them long enough to actually implement this into the game, but nonetheless, it's in the game now, and boss battles is awesome, where you can go into any zombie map and you can go up against the boss battle that's in the Easter egg quest on that map without having to do any of the Easter egg steps, right? You don't have to do any of the Easter egg steps. You go straight into the boss battle itself, which is just super fun in my personal opinion. I thought that was a really, really good idea. Of course, we have a progression system, like the more you rank up, the more weapons you unlock, and once you unlock weapons, you can earn attachments for them, and of course, if you get lucky through supply drops, you may be able to actually acquire a prototype onto that certain weapon, so once you use that weapon in a zombies match, you're able to actually use that weapon prototype, which is pretty cool. Another thing I'd like to say is that the maps for zombies were very, very fun. So we only had one map come with Infinite Warfare zombies, and that was, of course, Zombies in Spaceland, and that's probably one of the best maps I have ever played. You know, out of all the zombie maps I have ever played, when including Treyarch, including Exo Zombies, for God's sakes, Zombies in Spaceland was so fun. It was such a great idea. You're in like this theme park. Of course, the whole storyline for zombies is based off like playing in different films, you know, and you're in this theme park. There's zombies coming after you. There were so many different things to do in the theme park. You could earn tickets so you can like play in the arcade machines and stuff like that. I don't know. It was just super fun. I thought as for a launch of the game, like when Infinite Warfare first came out and Zombies in Spaceland was the only zombies map, I thought it was a great map for just a standard zombies map, in my personal opinion. Very, very good. And of course, the second, in the first DLC, the second zombies map that came out was Rave in the Redwoods, which I think is my favorite map in Infinite Warfare. Like, holy crap, it's literally a rave in the redwoods, right? Like, I never heard of a rave in a redwoods before, and that's literally what the zombies map is. You're in a rave that's in the redwoods, and then there's zombies coming after you. And there's so many things to do in there. You could go on the boat to go to this log cabin and try and get the pack-a-punch, and of course, if you like throw in like the dust and the fire or whatever, you kind of go into rave mode, and then this freaking creepy ass slasher guy, which this guy, like, for some reason, every time I play Rave in the Redwoods and the slasher guy is coming after me, I still like crap my pants every time I play the map. It is just absolutely insane, you guys. I cannot, oh my gosh, it just scares the crap out of me like every time I play the map, which is actually why it's my favorite map in Infinite Warfare Zombies. And of course, Shaolin Shuffle was okay. I mean, I didn't think it was that great. Then Attack of the Radioactive thing, it took me a while to get used to, but once you actually know how the map works and stuff like that, it became a pretty fun map. And then of course the last map, which of course was the Beast from Beyond, right? Which they brought back the Extinction Aliens. Now, if you guys know me, I am a huge fan of Extinction Aliens. I absolutely love Extinction and Call of Duty Ghosts. It was my favorite game mode of all time. I grinded the hell out of it. I always completed the missions. I've completed every single mission in Extinction. I loved Extinction, but of course the rest of the community didn't like it, and of course they kind of teased the Extinction Aliens again by bringing them back into the Beast from Beyond, and pretty much the rhinos were like the boss fight in that actual map, and then of course you have to fight the devil, Mistopheles, whatever his freaking name is. But yeah, I enjoyed Extinction, excuse me, god dang it, Infinite Warfare Zombies, and I'm getting all hyped up about Extinction for no reason. But yeah, Infinite Warfare Zombies, very, very good, you guys. We had FNF cars, which are basically similar to Gobblegum, only it's Infinity Ward's version of them. But yeah, Zombies, you guys, very, very fun. I definitely give it like a multiple thumbs up for that. That is just absolutely great. I thought they did a great job on it, and it's kind of sad to see it go away now that we're going to have Call of Duty World War II coming out. So anyway, this is my final review for Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and if I were going to give Infinite Warfare a final rating, I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5 stars. Now, that's not a popular opinion, you guys, but I enjoyed Infinite Warfare. It is a fun game. Now, a lot of people say that they actually have fun playing Infinite Warfare when they're thinking to themselves it's not a Call of Duty game. If you think to yourself it's not a Call of Duty game, then you'll have fun playing it. But if you're thinking it's a Call of Duty game the whole time, then you're not going to have fun, because, you know, Infinite Warfare, there's so many aspects about it that doesn't really make it a Call of Duty game, you know, it just doesn't seem right. But for me personally, as just a video game, it is very, very fun, and I enjoyed every minute of it I played, except for the times that I had to go up against those Snaptic combat. Oh my god, I freaking hate the Snaptic combat rigs. The worst. That's probably the worst decision they ever added into the game. But other than that, I really enjoyed playing it. I don't know about you guys, but let me know your thoughts down below in the comments below, what you thought about Infinite Warfare. You guys have heard my thoughts. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to leave a rating for what you guys feel this video deserves, and of course subscribe. I can't even talk right now, I'm talking too fast. And subscribe to my channel for more Call of Duty videos later in the future, and I shall catch you guys later.